know who's out here living the American dream, but I can tell you one person who isn't.
Hey guys, welcome to Finance with Flo. Please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, we're talking about where did the American dream go? The American dream, a phrase that once symbolized hope, freedom, and endless opportunity, feels more like a fading memory today. It used to mean that if you work hard, played by the rules, and stayed determined, you could achieve success, own a home, and provide a better future for your children. So I've put the stitches together so that you watch. I'll be back.
I don't know who's out here living the American dream, but I can tell you one person who isn't, and that's me. I have 4 kids, and I'm working 3 jobs, and I'm still struggling. I have my full-time job. I'm a 911 dispatcher. My other 2 jobs, a waitress. The American dream should not be this hard. I should not have to be working my life away, being away from my kids. You know, sometimes I have to pick. Am I going to pay my electric bill? Or am I going to buy groceries? Because my kids need to eat. This is not the American dream. I'm so tired of struggling. You know, so many people are going to work, working multiple jobs just to pay for a house to sleep in. Just to put their head down at night. This is not the American dream. Not my American dream. That's why I started posting here on TikTok. So hopefully I can slow down some so I can spend time with my kids. Life shouldn't be this hard. I know one person that's making 6 figures and they're still struggling. Why's it gotta be so hard? Anyways, if you want to help this mama out from struggling, you know what to do. I'm headed into work to work at Buffalo Wild Wings today. I have to work a double, say a prayer, I make some money. Listen, if you still want to come to America because you believe in the American dream, let me tell you something. That dream died like 30 plus years ago, and now we're living in a dream that involves paying $10 for a dozen of shitty fucking eggs, paying $2,000 a month for an apartment in the ghetto that's about 700 square feet and it has no walls. And then if you want to go to university here, you're looking at around $100,000 for a 4-year education. That's on the low end. But in those 4 years, you might get shot because everyone seems to want to shoot each other for some ungodly reason. Then you're going to graduate thinking, oh, I graduated, I have a degree now, I'm going to get a good job. Your good job is going to pay you about $40,000 starting off, maybe, and then they're going to say you're going to work 40 hours a week. When in reality, you're going to be working about 50 plus hours a week because they're going to guilt trip you in by saying, we're a family, we're a team, we help each other. And they're not going to pay you overtime for that because why would they? If they get your help for free, why would they pay you for that? Okay? Then there's no work-life balance. That company you're working for now doesn't want to give you vacation days until like maybe your 2nd year working there. And those vacation days are maybe 4 days out of the whole entire year. That includes holidays. All right? Then if you're sick, too bad, you still have to come to work. Okay? Then if you want to buy groceries, your groceries are going to be your whole entire paycheck because no one can afford to eat here anymore. Got it? I go to the grocery store for 4 things. It's like $50. I'm just saying it sucks living here. I don't want to live here. I want to leave. So maybe you should rethink your whole American dream because it's not what it's all cracked up to be. Okay? Okay, love you. Bye.
They don't tell you what American dream, but let me tell you some of the things. Working 40 hours a week or bi-weekly, that's American dream. Getting some of your money taken away by taxes, by the government, every week or every other week or monthly when you get paid. That's an American dream. Paying a mortgage or buying a house, which is called a mortgage here, that you would never ever own, even if you pay for that house, because even if you buy that house or not, you still have to pay taxes on that property, that land that house is staying on. That's the American dream. We don't own anything in this country, just so you know that. That's the American dream. Okay? Having children and the government is able to make decision on what you do or how you discipline your children. That's the American dream. Being in jail for stupid things like
Americans leaving America to live the American dream. Are we Americans living the American dream? I see that a lot of people are leaving and going to different countries because they feel like the struggle is so bad in America. They indeed feel that we do have a lot of opportunities for education and stuff, but once we make a certain amount of money, it's like you're still only working to pay bills. Like everything is so expensive, from the cable to the internet, the cars, where you live, and they feel like you can go to Thailand, Belize, all those different places and live a simple life. So what's going on in America? Like, how are things so inexpensive in other countries? The rent is so high here, when they like the rent in those different countries are little as nothing. So y'all tell me, what's going on? How can things be so much different in price? Are we?
Me and my wife went and did the pre-approval process for a mortgage loan yesterday, and what the fuck are you talking about? It doesn't upset me for us because we aren't the average American family. I work a very niche job in the oil field. I make a very good income. My wife is a nurse. She does very good for herself, and combined, we have a very comfortable living in our home. But for the average American, this is way fucking far out of reach. In our area, we live in East Texas, okay? A good home is gonna be at least $400,000, if not $450 to $500, okay? I try to explain this to my mom. She's telling me, oh, y'all just go get you a little $200,000 house. Mama, these $200,000 houses are fucking rundown shack. We're looking at the numbers, looking at our income, looking at our credit, and they have us at $450,000, 5% down, which is $22,000. Thank God we got a little bit of money saved. They have our mortgage after PMI, after insurance, after taxes at $4,636 a month. What the fuck are you talking about, okay? And the thing is, we could afford it. We actually could afford to spend that money on a mortgage every month. But a $5,000 mortgage? Who are y'all selling these fucking houses to? Because we are outliers, okay? Not everybody is fortunate to have the jobs that we have. What about the regular fucking families that bring in combined $100,000 a year? They will never qualify for this. What the fuck is like?
Y'all know that we are slaves, right? Like, we're currently all slaves. Slavery never went away. It was just remodified as the working system. Every day you have to get up super early, spend 8 hours a day away from your friends, your loved one, your family. Work for pennies on the dollar to make somebody else richer than they already are. And then you get hit with all these bills that you can barely afford because shit is going up. Things are way too expensive. And once you pay off all your ridiculously expensive ass bills, you're broke and have to go to work again the next day. And then once you get paid again to pay your bills, you're going to be broke again. It's literally a rat race. It's like the guinea pig on the hamster wheel. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way because I just got paid and now I'm broke. And don't get me wrong, I have money saved up. I have money in investments. But literally the chump change I got paid from my 2 jobs is all of a sudden gone because it went to bills. And now I have to go back to work again, wait a whole week to get paid to pay bills again. And the same amount of money I'm getting paid, people have 2, 3, sometimes 4 kids. I'm like, there's no way people are surviving, making the same money I am with dependents. I don't have any kids. I don't have a place of my own. I'm still living at the crib. Yet these people have like a whole bunch of bills, mouths that they have to feed, roofs that they have to keep over their head, clothes that they have to buy. How are y'all doing that with the same amount of paycheck y'all get as me? It's literally impossible. Financial freedom is a whole flat out fucking lie. It's bullshit. Unless you were inherited money, grew up in a rich family, hit the lottery, heard a crazy sports betting parlay, you're never gonna get rich. You're never gonna get ahead. Because they don't want you to get ahead. They want you to stay slaves and depend on that job and work for the next 40, 50 years of your life. And when you finally can retire with the little bit of money that you were able to save, you can enjoy it. Your bones are going to be too brittle and weak to enjoy it. You won't physically be able to do the things at an older age compared to when you were younger. The United States working system was designed for us to be slaves for 40, 50, if not 60 years and then die. And then what happens when you die? They take half your money because of taxes. And don't get me started on taxes. That's another scam system that they created to keep you broke. It makes no sense how we go to work, bust our ass, and then they illegally take money from our paycheck. And then when it comes time to file taxes every single year, they actually demand you to pay more money on top of the money that they already illegally took in from you. The American dream is to get the fuck out of America.
Yo, I hope y'all know the American dream is dead. Like, you're not gonna have a good life just off the virtue of being American or living in America anymore. Like, those days are gone. Yes, 20, 30, 40 years ago, people were coming from all around the world to America for a better life, and they found that a lot of the times. But that's not the case no more. We live in a globalized world. Like, things are not the same. The effort that it took to live a fairly good life in terms of just working or building your own business, that effort now is just going to get you by barely. And I hope people are starting to realize this and look elsewhere and cast your net further overseas, network, and meet people in different companies overseas to where you can improve your, not just your financial position, but your other aspects of life. Like, it's time to get creative in 2025, for real.
I'm an American. There's homeless people right outside my flat, right there on the street. There's people living on the streets because their government doesn't know what to do with them. They treat them like pests. I'm an American. The government is actively trying to get rid of access to health care for women. I do not have a child or a family because who could afford one here? I'm a female U.S. citizen. They're trying to take my rights away. They want me to have children even though I can't afford it, and they're not going to provide any care for my child once it's born. They want us to have babies, but they don't want to help us pay for them. They just want a stronger economy. I'm an American. If you have a child here, you might get 2 weeks off of work, but then you're expected to work again. Plus, you can't afford to take time off work. College here averages $10,000 a semester. I'm an American. The foods that we eat are full of chemicals and dyes that are illegal in other countries. I'm an American. 50 years ago, I could have existed off of a salary for 40 hours a week, medium income. I could have afforded to have a medium home. I could have afforded to have children. If you apply that to today, you can't. You would have to make $66 an hour to have the same benefits. I'm an American. We still vote for people who keep us poor. I'm an American. I love the USA. I hate its government.
Other presidents have tried and failed, but Donald Trump has effectively solved the immigration problem in this country, and he's done so by making America a living hell. It's so bad in the United States right now. Why would anyone ever want to come here? Immigration solved. And one of the cornerstone arguments of Republicans is that immigrants don't pay taxes. They collect benefits somehow, magically, without social security numbers, and they don't pay any taxes, that they are a drain on the system. And yet, today, the IRS has agreed to share taxpayer information with ICE. So if you're an undocumented immigrant, which means you're just a human being without the right piece of paper, right? A lovely neighbor, a housekeeper, a landscaper, a dishwasher at a local restaurant, just normal people. You just don't have the right paperwork, and you didn't get lucky enough to be born on this side of the imaginary line that we drew. You still pay taxes, but you don't do it through a social security number. You do it through an individual tax ID number. Trump has figured out a way to ruin their lives and deport them for no apparent reason other than systemic racism, making America a complete nightmare for immigration. No one will ever want to come here because it is hell on earth. It is now one of the shithole countries that he's been yapping about. So congratulations, Donnie, on ruining the American dream.
I'm an American. Of course, I pay $1,600 a month for a one-bedroom apartment in Wisconsin. I'm an American. Of course, I work over 40 hours a week, but can't afford health insurance. I'm an American. Of course, I make too much money to be on any type of assistance, but I don't make enough money to survive in this economy. I'm an American. Of course, I'm in debt. I went to college. I'm an American. Of course, I don't make enough money to survive. Our minimum wage hasn't increased in decades. I'm an American, and I fear that I am the status quo for the average American right now. I'm living the American dream. Are you?
Americans no longer believe in the idea of an American dream, and this will fundamentally reshape our economy in the years to come. A recent poll came out in the Wall Street Journal that basically said that 25% of Americans believe that they have a good chance of improving their standard of living. And that is the lowest point since this poll started asking this survey back in 1987. And more than 70% believe that the American dream no longer holds true. And I want to talk a little bit about what this does to our brains psychologically when the implicit contract in America, which which is that if you work hard, you will become financially successful. What happens when that breaks down, and how will that reshape how all of us think about our money? So I've written about this before extensively in my newsletter, but there's kind of two big behaviors that come out of the breakdown of the American dream, which is financial nihilism and gambling. So the first is essentially, if you believe that you cannot get ahead no matter how hard you work, you might just say, what's the point of doing any sort of long-term wealth building altogether? And, you kind of pull out of the market, or you just kind of YOLO spend on experiences and things because you feel like there's no point. And then that feeds into the second piece, which is the kind of rise of what I call the gambling economy or the grifting economy, where people turn to these very high risk, potentially high reward activities, these get rich quick schemes as a way to build wealth because they think that's the only path to prosperity. And, we see this with the rise of day trading, crypto gambling, people pursuing careers online, like selling courses and stuff, just grifting essentially. And that is because they feel like the contract of working for many, many years is not, adequate anymore. So they feel like they're forced into these categories. And all of this together will just lead to a weaker, less robust economy. And so all this is to say is when an entire society loses faith in this connection between effort and reward, this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If no one believes the system works, then nobody participates in behaviors that make it work. And I'm not saying that capitalism was perfect by any means before, but I think we are seeing a very, very quick erosion of what capitalism was before, and in its place will lead to scams, gambling, grifting, etc. And that's why I think it's so important to pay attention to polls like this instead of just looking at pure economic data, because a lot of times how people feel about the economy is a leading indicator for how they behave with the economy.
Why is it once you travel outside the United States, the goal is to leave America permanently? And I'm not talking about to the Caribbean islands or anything like that. I mean like over the water, like Europe, like out the States. I've been to Jamaica. I've been to Dominican Republic. I've been to Cancun. But recently, I went to Europe, specifically Spain, Germany, Italy. Honorable mention, that's not Europe, Morocco. And after being over there, everything changed. And it's not just a vacation vibe. Like my girlfriend, she's Portuguese. She's from Germany. So I'm getting like the actual insight and knowledge from her. They said America is a third world country with a Gucci belt. That's what they said. Countries that are more developed than America, they make fun of us. The countries that are less developed than us, they think America is like the land of the free. And granted, yes, the grass is greener. The grass is greener where you water it. It ain't always green on the other side. It's pros and cons to everything. I get it. But if you've left America, you know what I'm talking about. Like everybody I told them, I said, hey, within 6 months, I'm either moving or I'm backpacking. Either or. And I'm doing it. Everybody I talk to, they say, bro, go do it, because they've been there. They understand the things that America values is crazy, because like even like the work-life balance, it's not even a thing. You're not living to work. You know what I mean? Like that's not your obligation. And then in countries like Germany, when you're sick, injured, pregnant, they have a whole different protocol for like the paid leave, and I don't even know what it's called there, but they got a whole different protocol for that. Like you can get your pay, your salary for a certain amount of time, and then it decreases after I guess a certain amount of months, weeks, or whatever. But most places in America, they just snip you. Like you're not obligated, you're replaceable. And again, I'm not here to get all into the taxes, the logistics, and all this stuff, but I'm just saying like just the certain things that are valued is different in other places. But tell me, if you've ever been to anywhere in Europe, or if you've moved to Europe.
Well, good morning, my fellow TikTok tax-paying citizens. The biggest scam of life is paying taxes on the money you make, then paying taxes on the money you spend, and paying taxes on things you already own that you've already paid taxes on. With the money that's already been taxed. Whoa. But guess what? We're told that's a privilege. And to a certain extent, it is a privilege living in the United States. But if we all pay our fair share, there's no problems, right? That's why this immigration thing is like it is. I work around a lot of Spanish. Most I talk to do not pay taxes.
Contrary to popular belief, no taxes. Me want cash, they tell me. Okay. Stupidity. Nothing is more stupid than the glorification of stupidity. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where we stand. Have a great day, my fellow taxpayers. Pay them taxes now. Welfare is needed.
That's a video, so let me just share my thoughts. So let's be real. The modern vision of the American dream looks completely different. Today, it's less about buying a house with a white fence and more about just staying afloat. Many people are juggling 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, living paycheck by paycheck and feeling like no matter how much they try, they can't get ahead. Student loans, medical debt, and rent hikes have created a cycle that feels almost impossible to escape. It's not that people don't have ambition anymore, it's the system feels rigged against them. At this point, owning a home was the ultimate sign of achieving the American dream. But with the housing prices going up and wages staying stagnant, that goal now feels out of reach for millions of people. Millennials and Gen Zs are now questioning whether they ever afford a home, let alone retire comfortably. The same dream that motivated their parents and grandparents is now seen as unrealistic or even naive. It's hard to chase a dream when the foundation beneath keeps shifting, and there's a mental toll, the constant pressure to make it. In a system that doesn't reward effort, equally has left many people burnout and disillusioned. We are taught to hustle, grind, and never stop working, but for that, men are realizing life is more than endless work and financial struggle. The American dream was supposed to be about freedom, yet so many feel trapped by debt, stress, and uncertainty. The promise of upward mobility is slowly disappearing, and with it, people's faith in the dream itself. But maybe the American dream is not dead. Maybe it's just evolving. People are redefining what success looks like. It's no longer just about material wealthy or a big house. It's about freedom of time, peace of mind, and purpose. Some are choosing simplicity over status, mental health over money, and self-fulfillment over society expectations. The new dream might look like what it was once did, but it still exists in a smaller or more personal ways. The truth is, the American dream did not just vanish overnight, it changed as the world changed. Globalization, automation, and economical inadequate have all reshaped what's possible for the average person. The other dream may have been built for world that no longer exists, and while the painful to admit, it's also an opportunity to create something better, a dream that's more inclusive, realistic, and human. So maybe the question is not where did the American dream go, but what can we do to rebuild it? Because the dream is not completely gone. It's waiting to be redefined as a generation that refuses to settle for survival, a generation that is looking for balance, fairness, and meaning in a world that forgot what those words truly mean. The American dream may be wounded, but it's not dead. It's simply waiting for its rebirth. So that's the video, guys. Bye. See you in the next episodes.